There is a new ransomware-as-a-service named Eldorado that is now encrypting files on both Windows and Linux systems using advanced cross-platform technologies. And it's already targeted 16 victims across multiple industries since its debut in March of 2024. How does Eldorado's ransomware encryption method differ from the other well-known strains like Lockbit or Babook? The effects of the CDK Global ransomware attack a few weeks ago still remain as Sonic Automotive's vehicle sales have plummeted. How are CDK customers recovering, and what are the long-term impacts it might have on their financial performance? And finally, there is a remote code execution vulnerability in Ghostscript that comes pre-installed on many Linux systems that's now being exploited through EPS files disguised as JPEGs. How can you protect the document conversion services against this Ghostscript vulnerability? You're listening to the Daily Decrypt. It's both a sad and exciting day when we get to announce a new ransomware-as-a-service operation. This time, it's named Eldorado, and it targets both Windows and Linux systems with specialized locker variants. Its specific strain of malware surfaced on March 16th of 2024. As of late June, Eldorado has claimed 16 victims, with 13 in the US, 2 in Italy, and 1 in Croatia, and specifically is targeting industries including real estate, education, professional services, healthcare, and manufacturing. So it seems like they don't really have a type. They're just looking to get their foot in the door. Eldorado is similar to all of the major names in ransomware-as-a-service, as it is a double extortion ransomware service, which is a devilish tactic that builds on the traditional form of ransomware where threat actors would gain access to a network, encrypt all the files, and then sell you the decryption key for an exorbitant amount of money so that you can decrypt the files and carry on with your business. Well, it's now evolved to that, plus they exfiltrate all your data and threaten to sell it on the dark web if you don't pay, which is much more effective because standard practice is to back up your data so that you can get back up online. And if you do that correctly, encrypting your data doesn't do anything because you'll be able to back it up. Oftentimes, it's not done correctly and your backups are also encrypted. But in the case where backups are appropriately implemented, these ransomware artists use double extortion. And this service has all the indicators that it is very organized, as the affiliate program was advertised on the ransomware forum RAMP, which indicates a level of professionalism and organization you'd see in the top ransomware-as-a-service groups. A security research firm was able to infiltrate this ransomware group and identified the representative as a Russian speaker and noted that Eldorado does not share any sort of code with the previously leaked ransomware like Lockbit or Babook. And like mentioned before, this targets primarily Windows and Linux environments. And the encryptor comes in 4 different formats: ESXi, ESXi64, Win, and Win64, which enhances the flexibility and increases its threat potential across different system architectures. Eldorado uses Golang for its cross-platform capabilities, Cha-Cha-20 for file encryption, and RSA OAEP for key encryption. It can also encrypt files on shared networks using SMB. The Windows variant employs a PowerShell command to overwrite the locker file with random bytes before deleting it, aiming to erase the trace of the threat actor. And for more key indicators of compromise, check out the article by the Hacker News in our show notes. And I'm hopeful that we won't hear much more about this ransomware as a service, but given its capabilities, we probably will. This next story hits a little close to home, which is why I chose to include it in this episode, as my car stopped working last night. And I got to spend an hour and a half on the phone with the technicians, just trying to find me an appointment because all of the scheduling was still down due to the ransomware attack. Needless to say, I couldn't get an appointment at the dealership for over a month and a half, which is in line with what the news is reporting as an effect of the CDK Global ransomware attack that happened 3 or 4 weeks ago. So Sonic Automotive, which is a Fortune 500 company, has reported a significant drop in car sales since June 19th, which is due to the fact that all their systems were down, so they weren't able to process these car sales at the same speed. People still want to buy cars, they just can't. You know, it's kind of like fast food is a process that changed the market completely as far as restaurants go, because they're just able to serve more and more customers faster, thus making more money. But it's like if the stove got ransomwared and we had to take the stove down, right? There are alternate methods, like maybe they go get some hot plates from Target or whatever, but it just slows down the process, which is exactly what ransomware can do. In fact, over 15,000 car dealerships across North America rely on CDK's cloud-based services. And in the past couple of weeks, CDK was actually able to fully recover, bringing their core services back online. But the trickle-down effect is that these individual dealers still have to keep their services offline or were unable to fully restore their services. So yeah, this is just one example of how long it takes to recover from a ransomware attack and how helpless you can be if the ransomware attack happened earlier on in the supply chain like it did here. And finally, the hottest new vulnerability being exploited in the wild is a remote code execution vulnerability found in the Ghostscript document conversion toolkit that is widely used on Linux systems and often integrated with software like ImageMagick, LibreOffice, Inkscape, Scribus, and all kinds of other softwares. This vulnerability affects all installations of Ghostscript 10.03.0 and earlier. It allows attackers to escape the -D safer sandbox, enabling dangerous operations such as command execution and file I/O. Attackers are exploiting this vulnerability in the wild, using EPS files disguised as JPEG images to gain shell access to these vulnerable systems. If you work in IT and either know or are unsure if your systems are vulnerable, Codean Labs has developed and released a PostScript file that can be used to detect these vulnerable systems. So make sure to check out the link by Bleeping Computer in the show notes below so that you can keep your system safe.
This has been the Daily Decrypt. If you found your key to unlocking the digital domain, show your support with a rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It truly helps us stand at the frontier of cyber news. Don't forget to connect on Instagram or catch our episodes on YouTube. Until next time, keep your data safe and your curiosity alive.